Okay, let's see if that made us go live. Okay, 3, 2, 1. We're legit live now.
We're legit live. Hey, whoa, we're up.
Awesome.
Oh,
Wow, that was the funniest thing. For everybody who missed it because we didn't go live, that was so funny.
Yeah, we already did our intro, and Tyler was so nice to let me just go through it. And then he was like, "Hey, Max, we're actually not live right now." So I'm just going to do it again, but I'm going to try and do it a little differently just because. Yeah. What's up, everybody? So we are calling all nerds. You've answered the call. The actual beacon is now lit. We are live and connected, and we are your friendly neighborhood hosts. We talk about everything within the entertainment zeitgeist, and we are so excited to talk about some amazing stuff with you guys tonight for episode 13. Gosh, I can't believe we're on episode 13 of Calling All Nerds. We kind of do this every other week when we can, when life permits. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We are, as you can tell, not very professional, but we like it that way.
It makes it more entertaining.
It makes it more entertaining. It makes it more real. You know, we're just two guys having conversations. But if you enjoy listening to us and enjoy our show, we definitely ask that if you're following us on YouTube, to please subscribe, give us a like, give us a rating, leave any comments that you want on any of our shows. You can also listen to us on Spotify and iTunes by searching Calling All Nerds. We are on those platforms as well. And after our live podcast, it gets sent over to those different podcast available services right after. But we are excited to talk about some pretty interesting stuff tonight. I think it's been a pretty dry year so far, hence why sometimes we just don't really have a lot to talk about every week. So we don't do it every week. But Tyler, did you have by chance a question of the week for us to start off?
Yeah, I kind of thought of one as all that stuff happened.
Oh, nice.
So, okay, usually we like block these out. But what was something embarrassing that you did as a kid that you still can remember? And it doesn't have to be like awful that like brings back bad memories, but something just like funny that you've done in the past.
Oh man, something in the past. I used to, as a kid, I would put on plays, like musical shows for mom and dad. And Julie, my sister, would always be in the shows with me, but she would have no interest at all in keeping in character. And so I would be doing a show, and my mom has video evidence of this because she would record on VHS all of our plays. And I would be acting out like the Black Cauldron from Disney.
Oh my god.
And Julie would be sitting in that, like, you know what I'm talking about out there, listeners, that like that green alien like blow up chair. She would just be sitting in it, just not even giving a crap. And finally I would just turn to her and be like, Julie, you're ruining the show. Play the character. And she would just be like totally acting all goofy, and I'd be like, fine, I'll play every character myself. And then I just
So it's a solo show?
Yeah, it just became a solo show. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was probably one of the funnier moments of my life growing up.
That's great.
So it definitely is no surprise that I was very into like musical theater and stuff like that in high school and college. So
yeah, that's great.
What about you, man?
Oh man, an embarrassing thing that I have done. Where to even begin? I remember, oh my gosh, this was so dumb. I remember like one time, this was so stupid. We were on the bus. This had to be maybe middle school. It was either middle school or elementary school. And like there were high schoolers that were driving behind the bus. Obviously they were high schoolers because they were definitely like kids, and like, you know, school just came out, and again, we're like middle school or elementary school. This was so dumb. And so me and this guy on our bus, we were trying to give them our phone numbers. And So we had pieces of paper and pencils, and we were writing down the numbers and like slapping them on the windows to see if they would get it. Erase it, erase it, erase it. Do the next number, put it back on the window.
Oh my gosh.
It's so stupid. I don't even know why we did that. We had absolutely zero chance of anything, but you know,
That's amazing.
the stuff that you do on the bus is always fun.
Oh yeah, I remember the bus. Man, those bus drivers were the unsung heroes, man. They dealt with so
gosh.
much disrespect.
Oh,
Like it
so
was
much. They got
oh,
treated worse than subs.
oh yeah, for sure. Like the kids were terrible, man.
Were
Like,
terrible.
like I hated riding the bus growing up. I was so glad when I finally got my own car. I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't deal with this anymore.
Yeah, I remember Julie talked to me about that too. She didn't like riding the bus at all.
Oh yeah, like oh my gosh, the kids in our school, they were so disrespectful towards our bus drivers. Like it was awful.
Interesting. See, I will say, our bus drivers, they were cool, man. We had a couple that kind of sucked, but actually, for the most part, our bus drivers were awesome. People enjoyed riding the bus because of our bus drivers. I guess we just got lucky, though.
Well, that's the thing. Like our bus driver, his name was Joe. Like he was great. Like we really liked him, Julie and I. But like kids on the bus is what I mean. Like they were just
Oh,
super.
yeah.
They were
Yeah.
just super disrespectful and just like, like
Yeah, it
just
ain't Joe's
being
fault.
yeah.
Yeah, I
It
gotcha.
ain't the bus driver's fault, but it was just the kids stank. But you do what you can.
For sure. Well, I guess we can dive into this first story that kind of affects us in a way, because we do use this service to do
Yeah, we
our
do.
podcast. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what's going to happen. And that is the idea or the fact that Microsoft is wanting to potentially buy Discord, and the price tag
Yeah.
is huge. It's like $10 billion plus dollars. Can you? I can't even think of like what $10 billion looks like.
Oh, yeah.
That's so much money.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount of money that like I feel like you would think that would be a huge number even for Microsoft, but
Yeah.
I guess not. I have no if they have $10 billion that they can just pull out of their pocket, they're not gonna ever hurt for money. Like it's
Oh,
like what are you guys
definitely.
doing?
And I guess
It's like
what has me worried is like if you're putting in that much money, that means you need to make that. Well, you don't have to make. Well, you should be making more than that. But it's like there's no way they would just buy this app for $10 billion to not
Without thinking.
have some monetary thing to come out of it.
right, you need like some kind of viable return on investment of
Yeah, like what's
what
their
you're needing.
ROI ideas? So it's like, so for people listening in right now, Max and I are using Discord. Like probably many of you who are listening to the podcast, we use Discord to do a little video chat, and then we record the audio through OBS, and that is how our podcast is done. We use Discord chatting with friends. You can use Discord to do actual video chatting. It's kind of like, I guess it's similar to how Microsoft Skype is in a way. And if you're familiar with applications like Slack or like Ring Central, stuff like that, it's the same thing. It's a chatting software, but it's free. And there is a money thing to it, but there's definitely like zero pressure to have to spend money to get, I think it's called like Discord Nitro, which gives you maybe like some higher quality like video sharing or something like that. It's not much, and it's definitely not forced. And so hearing that Microsoft wants to do this, it makes me wonder, like, not even just how's it going to affect my Discord life in general, but like, how's it going to affect Max and I doing this podcast? Like, would they say, oh, you're only limited to voice chats for like an hour? It's like, oh crap. Well, there goes that. Because it's just like, it's weird. I don't know what they want to do. Like, do you think it would still be free? Do you think they're going to put a money value on it? What do you think?
I really don't know. Part of me feels like Microsoft wouldn't do anything that drastic of a change with Discord, at least right away. Didn't Microsoft buy Mixer before this too?
They did. Yeah, that doesn't exist.
Um, right, and so it's kind of concerning to me in that regard. But I don't know what they did when they bought Mixer to like cause it to kind of fall, unless it just never really
Yeah, I
had
get.
any kind of competition for Discord.
Yeah, so when they bought Mixer, they it was kind of like what they didn't do. So they got Mixer, they created Mixer, or they created Mixer. I don't think they bought it. I think it was like their own
Gotcha.
creation. And then to like help get people on it, they bought Twitch streamers. So Ninja, the guy who was like really big on Fortnite a few years ago, he's still a big streamer, but um, they bought him. They gave him like a contract to go on to Mixer, stream from Mixer only. And his contract was like millions and millions of dollars. And then they bought another guy named Shroud, who's another super high, very popular Twitch streamer. They bought him. And they did that with a couple other people. So they bought these people to bring them onto their platform, hoping that, like, hey, oh, I know so and so. I'm going to hop over there too. Oh, I know him. I'm going to hop over too. And they were like trying to think of ways to get more views on their app. But outside of that, I don't think they did much. And that was kind of their issue. It became a like, oh, no one's really spending money on us. Because there's, similar to Twitch, you can buy things on like through Mixer. It's like, oh, if you say you want to cheer or whatever it's called in Mixer, it's like you want to give some money to your streamer guy, you might pay Mixer $10 worth of stuff, and then you get to send it to that streamer, and that streamer gets like $6 of it or something, and then Mixer would get the rest, right? And so there wasn't enough of that going on because there wasn't enough view time. And so it became a cost thing, and they just sold, like, I think they sold it to Facebook, which I don't really know how they did that, but yeah, they sold it to Facebook. So Microsoft just that thing down the hole.
Yeah, golly, man. So is Facebook video kind of like a amalgamation of like Mixer with their own video setup?
You know, that's a good question. I'm not sure because I know there is a new thing called like Facebook gaming. I think that's like a whole new. Let me look real quick.
Yeah,
there's like a Facebook gaming thing. Oh, what?
Oh no, you're good. I was just gonna say, yeah, I have a friend who actually streams Warzone on Facebook, and he has a pretty active following. But like he only streams, I think, specifically on Facebook. But I just didn't know if that was like maybe something to do with Mixer or just a renaming of what Mixer was. I have no idea.
It might be. It might be that like maybe some of like the server power or something was pushed to it, or I'm not too sure, but that's what Microsoft ended up doing with that. And I know I saw some memes of like, let me see, Microsoft buying Discord memes. There was this one meme that like stood out to me. Oh, here it is. So it's like it's like the Grim Reaper, and the Grim Reaper's face is the Microsoft logo, and you see like you see three doors. So the first door is Mixer, and it's open, and you see a blood trail. The second door is Skype, and that door too is open with a blood trail. And then the third door is the Grim Reaper knocking on a door that has the Discord logo on it, which obviously represents like every time Microsoft knocks on someone's door, it just leads to death. It's a great meme. But that's really how people are perceiving it, and it makes sense. I mean, Mixer, Skype, like even like what they've done with like Teams is really weird for some people, like TeamSpeak. Some people are really annoyed by what they did with Minecraft, because they did some really annoying things to Minecraft that was pretty obnoxious for people.
Oh man!
So it's just like it's just interesting.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Microsoft doesn't have a good rep when it comes to buying applications.
Oh, gosh.
I think what has me nervous too is I don't like I don't like when apps get very Adware central, and I'm hoping Discord doesn't get like that. Because I know, when you get like a phone game and it's like kind of fun and it might have like multiple levels to it, but after you play one level, you always have to view an ad. I'm hoping there's not like gunk like that just splattered around.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense if it does happen. It sucks. I mean, very much so. YouTube is very adware heavy now too. I mean, you can't really watch a video in YouTube without
well, now there's double ads.
The what?
Now there's double ads on YouTube.
Right, unless you pay for premium access of YouTube, then you can have it ad free. But it's just such a shame. I mean, like I get it. Like, cable is kind of non-existent as the years go on, so you have to find some way of bringing in ad revenue. But it just sucks. It kind of reminds me of like an episode of Black Mirror where like characters are like in the near like sci-fi future are just constantly from all sides like visually bombarded with adware, and they have to like pay money to just have a moment of peace. And it's just like, oh Lord, like this is so awful that we businesses are just like, we need to have as many ads as possible everywhere we go.
It is. It's not fun because it does kind of kills the mood sometimes. Especially if you're like getting it and you're like in the zone doing something. It's like Spotify. Oh gosh, if I didn't have Spotify Premium, I don't even know if I'd listen to Spotify. You just like you're pumped, you're in the zone, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, here's an ad, blah 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 blah, and you're like, oh, shut up, leave me alone.
Right. Very much like Pandora used to be. I remember like whenever I would listen to Pandora growing up, you would get like 3-4 songs, and then you have to listen to like 2 ads, and then you get back to your songs. And it's just like,
oh yeah, it's the worst.
Such a weird thing.
But I guess I guess you are right. I can't see them doing something drastic like that, at least right away. If they were, I feel like Microsoft's not dumb. They would ease into it, into like something like that. But it just makes me curious what they're gonna want to upgrade.
Yeah, it makes me curious too. I think you're right. I mean, like, if they did anything drastic like that, just like say, like for example, change the amount of time you can, change the amount of time that you can stream or like talk to like an hour, unless you pay for like a premium access of Discord or something like that. I feel like if they did something like that right away, they would completely lose the entire like base of people that use Discord like almost overnight, because like there are plenty of other platforms that don't cost anything to use for stuff like that. So I don't think that would be very smart of them to do that so quickly. I definitely could see that becoming a thing at some point, but I would hope they would have more hindsight or I guess foresight to not make that mistake again.
No, we'll see. For sure. And it's like there could be some good stuff though too. Of Microsoft resources, more people, maybe they can get like better video quality and better voice quality software, integrated into Discord. It is pretty cool seeing that this open source software that just a few people created is getting recognition from someone like Microsoft. Like that's gotta be exciting for these for whoever created Discord. Like that's cool, and maybe some good can definitely be put into it. I mean, Microsoft has a lot of brains and a lot of power. That money can definitely go pretty far, so I could see there being some cool upgrades, but it'll be growing pains, and who knows?
Oh, for sure.
Maybe they won't sell. I don't know. I mean, I feel like turning down $10 billion is tough, but we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about business. It's all about money. Yep. So it's like they're going to do what they think is going to be profitable for them. And unfortunately, that's not always best for the consumer, but we'll see.
Yeah. We will definitely see how it goes, and we'll keep people updated for sure. It's definitely a topic that I think is kind of relevant to the podcast and to like daily lives. So we'll be talking about it again one day, but What do we got
I agree.
next? What fun tales do we have?
So yeah, the next big thing is we actually found out this week that E3 is coming back and it's going to be virtual.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a reimagined all virtual event, which is super exciting because I missed E3 last year. I mean,
It was
and
weird.
I think that it's smart what they're doing in terms of reimagining it as all virtual. You know, because I feel like, especially I would say in the case of E3, like the big like stadium event where people have to like buy tickets to get in, and it's like multiple days of different things, like people standing in the theaters. It's a lot of fun and it's a lot of pomp and circumstance, but I feel like it's a dying commodity. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't see it lasting that much longer. So I think this move to being all virtual is a very smart move in order to stay relevant and stay alive for the E3 conference.
Yeah. So you don't think E3 will last that long?
Oh no, I'm saying like like I wasn't sure if they were going to last at all after they had to cancel E3 last year because of COVID. I wasn't sure what they were going to do this year, but I think it was the smart move to go all virtual. What I was saying was I don't know. Before last year, E3 was becoming more and more sparse in that, you know, PlayStation pulled out. A few other big parties actually pulled out as well. Microsoft actually did not attend the 2019 E3 press conference. They did their own conference, and so it became that they really didn't have that many big conference things to show in their event. And a lot of people were like kind of questioning the relevance of E3. They were like, well, if every studio is just going to do their own show now, why are we even having E3 anymore,
Okay.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm following you.
Yeah, but I think that this is good because I like E3. I've always thought of E3 as kind of the big gaming event outside of, you know, Gamescom or something like that, to really kind of showcase what the year has in store for gaming and for new games. And so I feel like last year we were sorely lacking in that. Like great games came out, but like we just kind of heard about them just randomly here and there, and then they were released. So it's kind of exciting that we're finally going to get a big event that's going to be. It looks like everyone's coming back to the table except for Sony, except for PlayStation.
And
Um,
EA too.
oh, EA's not coming back either.
No, yeah. Yeah, I'm reading
Interesting.
we have a Polygon article linked in the comment section. And so this one's by Michael McWhirter. And it says, I think this is a quote from the CEO of ESA.
Okay.
And oh wait, no, that's not I don't need about the quote part. Where did I just read it? Oh, so this is just what it just says that the people who are be featured in it are Nintendo, Xbox, Capcom, Konami, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Warner Bros. Games, and Koch Media.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the last one, who Koch is.
Yeah,
But
not sure either.
But then it says, you know, like last year it was obviously like canceled because of like the pandemic. It really made sense because that was like fresh pandemic, because it's always that like May time frame and no one really knew what all was going on.
Yeah.
And then it still says that there are some events that were new that are still coming back, like Geoff Kingsley did the Summer Games Fest. That's like still coming back. And then they say, this person goes on to saying that companies like Sony and Electronic Arts, which haven't officially exhibited at E3 in years, and were not announced of this part's expo, will more than likely hold their own untethered plans. So yeah, EA and Sony, which I always thought EA did do E3 because they had that whole like EA state of play thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked at that because EA usually love to be there at the E3 press conference. It was kind of a good show for them. So
Yeah,
I'm wondering if
maybe they always considered that not E3 then. Maybe it was just like an addition to it.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. it's kind of still shocking that EA is not joining the
Yeah,
table.
that is very odd.
Yeah, unless they have something pretty big that they want to kind of, do their own press on, which, is their prerogative to do so. But out of all of those studios, I did not think EA would be one to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Honestly.
they always show, for the most part, the same stuff. It's usually like something about a new Madden that comes out and like some more sports things. They usually talk about a Star Wars thing, but I guess we just talked about it on our couple podcasts ago. That's not a thing anymore. Now a new company's taking on Star Wars.
Yep.
So it's it is kind of like, what is EA doing nowadays? I know they joined with Microsoft, didn't they? Because now that whole EA Access thing is part of the Game Pass and everything.
Right.
So
that's true.
like, that's interesting to think about. Of what, I don't know. Yeah, geez.
What we'll need to do like we'll have to give like our guesses for what we think is going to be announced at E3 this year, because
Yeah, that'd be cool.
the dreamer in me is just, I want some update on Beyond Good and Evil 2 from Ubisoft.
Definitely. I want to hear something. I want Bethesda to just finally do something good too. I would love to see if they would go and do something, even if it's just like showing up during Microsoft's piece, because they do that a lot too. Because I see that they're not technically on this list of people on there, but since they're so close to Xbox now, I could see them almost joining in, which might be good for them, because when they have their own segment, it really hasn't been that good the past few years. So it might be nice to kind of just like slide Bethesda in during the Xbox thing just for a couple games.
Well, and I could be wrong, but I imagine they'll have to, because now that Bethesda is a subsidiary of Microsoft, they're technically not their own company anymore, like Capcom or Konami. Like they are a Microsoft first party studio.
That's true.
So when you hear Microsoft conference, I think now it's weird to think about it, but like now, like that includes Bethesda games inside of that. So I think you're right. I think we're definitely going to see Bethesda games. I think it's just going to be at that Microsoft conference, and I bet you anything, unless they're announcing, a bunch of new IPs, which they probably should.
I hope.
That Bethesda is going to have a huge piece in that, because if we're lucky, we'll finally get to see what's going on with Starfield.
Yes.
Maybe we'll see. I don't think we'll see anything more on like Elder Scrolls 6, but
a teaser, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a teaser. I think Starfield is coming out first, but I'm sure we'll see maybe something for like Wolfenstein and Starfield, and then maybe something else from them. I don't know, but either way, it's exciting. I really love their game, so I think it'll be really cool
for sure. And Warner Brothers games, I don't think they've usually been in it, have they?
Not in like their own studio kind of style before. I think Warner Brothers Studios has always kind of been on the lower end.
Okay.
Of like third party studios. Like they have been getting some bigger IPs lately though. Like I think they work. I can't say for sure if they work directly with Rocksteady, but like they're more known for like the Batman games, I think.
Okay.
But like the Harry Potter or the Hogwarts game that's coming out, I'm sure is going to be a big thing that they're going to be wanting to show off in June, maybe. And it really makes me wonder, because kind of like what we were talking about before we started the show, is it's been such a dry year so far. Like it's kind of crazy that we're already in Q2 and no huge game of any consequence has really been released on the new generation systems yet this year. Like there have been games released, but nothing like huge that everyone's buzzing about. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And I'm wondering if it is kind of everyone's waiting till this June event, including PlayStation, because I'm sure they're going to do their show either on the same week or right alongside E3, of like, hey, here's everything that our studios are working on and are coming out this year and next year. Like, give us the roadmap for the next 2 years for gamers.
Okay.
Is kind of Yeah, it's kind of like what I'm thinking this event is going to be. So it makes me really excited for June, but um, I think that's why it's been so dead lately, is because everybody's kind of keeping their head down and trying to get stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. This Koch Media, they actually apparently Metro Exodus, Homefront: The Revolution, Saints Row 4,
Oh,
and Dead Island are some of the things that are underneath them. I
oh, and
didn't know
they're
that.
getting their own show. Interesting. That I think that'll
Yeah.
be the first time they've had their own like, piece of E3 before.
Yeah, and I guess THQ Nordic, they bought them in 2018, and so they've been, I guess, getting a little bigger here
Ah,
and there. So that's
okay.
interesting. I've never heard of this company, which is really odd, but they got a few little cool things here and there. So
Man, that's awesome. Holy smokes.
yeah, I think this summer is gonna be. It was like last summer when it came to video game news. It was just exciting to hear anything because it was
Yeah.
like, oh, finally, like we're hearing some news. Right, last year was pretty rough, really sad, all that stuff like kind of going on. So hearing any news was like exciting. The new consoles were supposed to come out, so there was all that like anticipation for that. And I think this year is gonna be really nice. I think this is gonna be a pretty good summer of like fun gaming, video shows and all that kind of stuff. It'll be cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a really fun year, fun summer of news, like you said. I think the beginning of the year is usually always the dry season,
Yeah.
and it was kind of. I think you're right. I mean, even with the pandemic last year, we still got amazing games released last year. I mean,
Hmm.
we had like Final Fantasy VII remake, Ghost of Tsushima, like crazy games that just came out of nowhere and made last year amazing to be able to play video games at that time. Animal Crossing,
Yeah.
like Doom Eternal,
Yeah.
So it was still a good year last year. I think we're still going to have a good year this year. It just probably won't be until the summer and fall that we get those amazing games, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I think this will be nice too because this is obviously we have been in quarantine now for over a year, and I think these companies finally have had time to work on their video presence. Because man,
Mhm.
you remember how many like awkward live sessions there were last year of just like it was like there's always cringe at these conferences, but there was just some
Oh
added
yeah.
cringe because no one knew what they're doing. And so it'll be kind of nice to see, like these people have had some more time, like marketing people have probably had more time to play around with stuff, and it'll be cool to see what these virtual conferences will look like this year as opposed to last year. Like you look at someone who's done these a lot, like let's take Apple. Apple usually does a lot of virtual like releases of things, and their stuff is holy cow, that's goals. If you ever want to do a video conference that's all virtual, look at what Apple does for their stuff. It is so high quality. And so I think it'll be really nice to see this and see like, ooh, that looked really cool, that was really good. And I almost think you can engage a little bit better because you can do more visuals and more fun like CGI almost kind of stuff. And I think
Oh, for
it's got me
sure.
excited to see what Sony might do. I'm hoping they do something like really cool, and I don't know, it'll be fun. I think it'll be a really fun summer, which I'm glad is almost here.
I know it's crazy. Time has like no relevance anymore. I can't like I can't well, at this point, which is just insane. But yeah, I mean, speaking of Sony, this is actually the next, really like the last big news item I know we wanted to touch on. But this was actually something that I believe was released today. Yeah,
Yeah.
early this morning.
Yeah.
On the Sony side of things, kind of some unrest we're possibly seeing within PlayStation Studios, and it's I don't know. I'll kind of speak my mind around what I thought about this article. It does make me a little concerned, not like super upset or like worried or anything, but it is kind of concerning because it kind of falls in line with what I'm seeing across the board from Sony. Um, but anyway, this is from an article written by Jason Schreier from Bloomberg, titled "Sony's Obsession with Blockbusters is Stirring Unrest Within PlayStation Empire," and we'll have the link of it in the YouTube video as well as our our follow-up notes with the different streaming services. But I would definitely recommend giving this a read. I'm not going to read through it. I'm just going to give a kind of a quick overview of it. But basically what this story is all about is that apparently Sony had a small team within PlayStation Studios that wanted to kind of prove themselves by remaking the original Last of Us, which is kind of crazy in my mind. I'm not sure who greenlit that idea, because that game is very much still playable and very much a well-made game that came out less than a decade ago. I don't understand why they would want to remake it right now. I assume it's because HBO now has the rights to The Last of Us and has begun filming the show version of the game, and they probably are wanting to capitalize off of that by remaking it, possibly in the same kind of style as Part 2 of The Last of Us, make it more open, but then have it come out alongside the show, possibly, so that you get more players buying a PS5 so that they can play this game that they've never heard of before, but now know of because of the show, if that makes sense. Kind of going off of CD Projekt Red's really big success of like Witcher 3 after the Witcher show started on Netflix. Like they had I think it was 50 million players came back to that game, and so that was a huge win for CD Projekt Red. So I almost feel like Sony wants to capitalize off that.
Now they've remastered it, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, they've
okay
the first Last of Us so many times. They remastered it. They remastered it on the PS4. They remastered it on the PS5. They've re-released The Last of Us at least 2 or 3 times in the last 8 years.
So, which is so weird. Like you can already play it in a good quality, and I feel like up until this point, really, whenever we've heard the word remake, it's usually been a game that's at least a few console generations behind, and
at
then
least
just
15 years old,
totally reimagined. Like Demon Souls, that's a whole night and day shift. Take anything Blue Point's doing. So like Spyro, that had a whole new look to it and stuff. This is It's really odd because like Last of Us already looks dope.
I know, it looks so good, and like I just don't understand it. And kind of what the article talks about is it seems like Sony, with these blockbuster hits that Naughty Dog has released, Uncharted, Last of Us, Spider-Man, like they're kind of, it seems like the executives at the head of the board are really kind of focusing in on, we just need to keep remaking and keep making more iterations of these games that we know are going to sell. And that's very much different from the PlayStation I grew up loving. PlayStation that is gives creative freedom to their studios to be like, make whatever the heck you want, and it's probably going to be amazing. Like if you just kind of stay on this course of, let's just keep making Last of Us, let's just keep making more Uncharted, there's no room for growth to further the medium of video games. Everything that we've seen, like I get why they kind of have Naughty Dog as like their number one studio, because in a lot of ways Uncharted and Last of Us kind of set the course for bigger AAA games that we've seen in recent years. God of War, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, all of those games have amazing narrative stories that really were kind of off of just the learnings of Uncharted and Last of Us. Before Uncharted and Last of Us, we really hadn't had anything narrative that close to a movie before. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I wonder if their term for remake is loose. I wonder if it's not really a remake then.
Well, that's the thing is a lot of people, and this is all speculation, but a lot of people think that they're remaking it to be like the story will be exactly the same, but possibly opening it up so that it resembles Part 2 more, where it'll be like in the same engine as Part 2. It'll have more open fields so that like, how like in Part 1 you really had like the individual chapters, and there were like 3 or 4 chapters per area. And then in Part 2 there wasn't really chapters per se. You were
Zones, right?
The what?
It was like zones.
Yeah, it was zones and it was days. Like it was
Oh
like day
yeah.
2. And so I'm wondering if, like, for example, in Last of Us Part 1, the whole area where they visit Bill, like, could that just be made open? And like
That'd be
it's
cool.
the same, yeah, but it's like the same story, but it's like there's no more like, you know, breaks in chapters between. You're just kind of like, oh, okay, here's Bill's house, but then walk over this way in free form and you can get to the school. You know, and like because it like even replaying Last of Us Part 1 recently, it is very linear, small environments where it's like, oh, okay, like you're kind of being forced to follow a tunnel in a way, which was very much what the first like 3 Uncharted games were. It wasn't until Uncharted 4 and Last of Us Part 2 where the games became more open. And so I'm wondering if that's what they're possibly thinking with the term remake. But
Yeah.
That's not the only thing that's worrisome. Is, you know, like this game, this was an idea given to like a small team within the studio. Sony wouldn't even they didn't even really talk about this small team as like being an actual thing. And then at one point they told the team, oh, okay, we're going to sign this game, the remake, over to Naughty Dog, and then they're going to be heading this remake of The Last of Us. And that's what really blew my mind. Was I was like, why in the world would Naughty Dog want to remake a game that they made just a few years ago? They want to probably do part 3. They probably want to move on to something new. And it just seems really scary to me. Because not only that, but another one of their companies, Sony Bend, you know, they just released Days Gone. And in this article, I'll read this one part. The fixation on teams that churn out hits is creating unrest across Sony's portfolio of game studios. Oregon-based Sony Bend, best known for the 2019 open world action game Days Gone, tried unsuccessfully to pitch a sequel this year. According to people familiar with the proposal, although the first game has been profitable, its development had been lengthy and critical reception was mixed. So Days Gone 2 has not been seen as a viable option and was denied.
Ooh, that's sad.
So Days Gone is dead. Like, it's just gone. And they basically told this, Sony Bend, oh, well, help Naughty Dog with a multiplayer game, or make another Uncharted game with supervision from Naughty Dog. Some staff, including top leads, were unhappy with this arrangement and left. Ben's developers feared they might be absorbed into Naughty Dog, and the studio's leadership asked to be taken off the Uncharted project. They got their wish last month and are now working on a new game of their own that will be a part of a brand new franchise. But it's just like, it kind of goes back to this whole thing of, it just seems like Sony is very much in a vision state of mind where Naughty Dog can do no wrong. So we just need to let them make everything. At least in this like small corner of their first party studios, if that makes sense. But this doesn't seem like a healthy, at least from reading this, it doesn't seem like a healthy choice to me.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a lot of pressure on one team alone. Now I will recognize that I do not know what is all involved. From our perspective, from an hourly perspective, to make this remake happen. Maybe it's easy and it's actually not that big of a deal, but maybe it really is pretty time consuming and they're wasting a lot of resources. I don't really even know how big Naughty Dog is, but yeah, it's very odd, because hearing that they want to do a remake is almost like hey, we don't have much going on right now. We kind of want to just do something that we know will work
and make money.
Yeah, and it almost seems like they would do that with something simple, where it's like, hey, just remake it. It won't be that hard, right? Okay, just like get it out because we need some time for other stuff, maybe, or who knows? It's really odd.
Yeah, it's very strange, and it's nerve-wracking for me because it's a very thing to do, and it's really not even a choice of Naughty Dog's. Like, it's so we want our people to remake Last of Us.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. We need Naughty Dog to helm it.
Yeah.
So Naughty Dog, you work on remaking your first Last of Us game. And I'm sure, you know, at Naughty Dog, the last thing they want to do is retread old ground. That's been their kind of bread and butter. They never return to old stuff. You know, like they keep moving forward with new IPs.
Yeah.
You know,
smart.
like
It's very smart.
yeah, you know, like it's why you never hear about Jack and Daxter, for example, ever getting an HD remake or anything like that. Even though people scream for it, they're like, no, like we made that 3 generations ago. Like we've moved on. You know, like we're trying to evolve as much as possible to stay ahead of the game. And yeah, I wish they weren't wasting Naughty Dog's potential on a remake of Last of Us Part 1 when they probably want to get to Last of Us Part 3 if there is going to be a Part 3.
Yeah.
Or a brand new IP. And like you said, we have no idea how many people are working at Naughty Dog. We don't know if they have, you know, the resources. Maybe they have plenty of resources to do something like this, which if they do, good for them. You know, like that's great. My main thing is like, you know, would I play the Last of Us remake? Absolutely. Am I going to watch the Last of Us HBO TV series? Absolutely. Do I need the Last of Us remake? No. Like I don't need that because like I feel like I had a masterpiece with what we have already. And it just seems like a very poor choice in my opinion, but
yeah, very corporate-y, very business centric, very we want money. I mean, you know, Square does it with Kingdom Hearts, right? Like Kingdom Hearts kept on getting, I mean, it wasn't remaked, so it's a little different, but it's like Kingdom Hearts was, you know, reproduced, and they had HD versions, and then they put them on this console, then they put them on PC, and they had bundles, 2.5, 1.5.
Yep.
You know, it's just a cash grab.
Oh, absolutely. And you Square Enix is absolutely business oriented over everything else. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake is testament to that.
Yeah.
We need to just remake the best Final Fantasy game of all time. Not only remake it, but remake it over the course of 20 plus years in installments and sell them each for $70.
Yep.
And it's like, but I'm a sucker and I love it. And they, at least with Part 1, it was amazing quality. Like that game was like 10 out of 10 for me. Like I was like, hey, if you can keep this up with each installment, like I'll take my money. I'm fine with that. But like, you know,
again, that was remake. You know, I mean,
exactly. It was
changed.
basically a brand new game.
Yeah, because the combat is completely different. That had more justification than Last of Us. It's almost like you mentioned how Last of Us could be a little more of that open worldiness, you know. But I kind of just feel like that's what makes it The Last of Us 1, and I feel you almost lose that glory moment of going from Last of Us 1 to Last of Us 2. Like when you play the first one, you go through it and you love it because the story's so good, but then you go to the second one and you're like, wow, it's still so good, and they added to it because like now the gameplay is kind of like this. You almost lose that by doing a remake, if obviously, again, speculation, if they go that route of making it more similar to the second one. That just doesn't seem smart to me, because it's like, darn, like I liked Last of Us 1 because it was quote unquote not on the same level of Last of Us 2 because of its engine and because of the gameplay mechanics and whatnot. It's like, darn, like that would just be kind of lame. Even from like a visual perspective, you see one and then you saw like the visuals and the way that the acting changed when you hit number 2, and you still want that defined line of knowing, hey, this was the first game, this is the gap between them, look how awesome it became in that gap of time.
It just seems so strange to retread old ground when it's like, if you want to stay at the top, you know, if you don't want to rest on your laurels, which right now it looks like you're doing as PlayStation, you need to keep shooting out new things that just grab people's attention if you want to stay ahead of Microsoft, because they're doing power plays, man. and they're honestly, I am very excited to see what Microsoft has to bring at E3, because it could change the game if they come out and say, here's everything that our studios have been working on, and this is all on Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
It's like, holy crap, like
this concept too is, you know what this makes me think of? So this makes me think of like why Will Ferrell never does sequels. He did one sequel, and I think it was Anchorman 2. I think he did do that, and I think he did that Daddy's Home as like this. Out of all the movies he's done, all the comedies, he's only done 2, and he did it for the reason of he doesn't want to like retread that old water. Like when he did a movie, he wanted those jokes to be part of that movie, and he never ever wanted to do a sequel. Because in the film industry, a lot of people know, like when you start doing sequels and stuff, it kind of hurts. Sometimes you're repeating joke, especially for comedy. And so when I hear about this, it really makes me think about that. Like Naughty Dog in a way is similar to Will Ferrell, where they're like, no, we just want to keep going. Don't make us go back. Don't make us like repeat stuff. It's not going to be beautiful. It's not going to give you that 10 out of 10.
Right, because there was like lightning in a bottle. Like I guarantee you, if the Last of Us remake comes out, people are going to play it, and it's not going to have that same hit that it had when it originally came out, and it's gonna I'm not gonna say fail, it's probably gonna succeed very well, but like critically, it's probably gonna get a lot of that hate of like, why did you remake a masterpiece already? You know, like this was already a perfect game. Why did you feel like you had to do this? And I feel like until people really like kind of show that, Sony's just gonna say, well, we're gonna milk this cow till it's dry, kind of thing.
Definitely.
And it's just such a shame, because it looks like on all ends of Sony, that's where the wind is blowing. You know, I don't know if you saw this, but they just released an announcement that Sony is partnering with Netflix for all of their future movie releases.
Sony is?
So, yeah, Sony. So, like, any like new Spider-Man movie after it comes out of theaters is going right to Netflix.
Dang.
And the Uncharted movies are Sony related. They're going to go right to Netflix.
Whoa.
So it's like, you know, kind of like how every studio is now kind of doing streaming service. Sony's kind of partnering with Netflix in that way, which makes sense because Netflix was going to lose a lot of stuff. So they gotta partner with someone if they want to keep people around outside of their original content. But it just, even to the change of PlayStation changing their name to PlayStation Studios, like it's all becoming very business and blockbustery, and not what made PlayStation 4 era great. And I don't want to see them make the same mistake they made in PS3 era. And I feel like they're just repeating history, and I don't get it. I don't get why they don't understand that it is about the games. It is about new games. It's about people seeing something they've never seen before, and that's what grabs them. And
I mean, they still need to focus on getting the PS5s into people's hands.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, they're still struggling with that. You know, it's like, come on, it's still a hassle. I mean, I know that you and we haven't even touched that market anymore once we got ours, but these new, you know, E3 and all this kind of stuff, Sony's already a big fan of, you know, like exclusive on a console, you know, so it's like there's bound to be something that's PS5 only, and they gotta prioritize some things here. You know, prioritize getting these consoles to people. Prioritize giving us games that are gonna, you know, continue to make us wants to sell your console. And then they've done it in the past. They always do it. And it's like, what are you doing now? What are your priorities?
Yeah. Honestly, the next big game from PlayStation Studios is Returnal, which is like this third party, like time loop kind of adventure. I don't know too much about it. It's like set in space. But that comes out at the end of this month, and then the next big release for them is Ratchet and Clank in June.
Oh, that game's gonna be lit though.
Oh, I mean, it's gonna be phenomenal. I have no doubt in my mind. But it's like, after June, what's coming out next? I think after that's gonna be Kena, which is another one I'm super excited for. But like, those are really the only 3 games that are coming out this year. They claim God of War Ragnarok is going to come out this year, but unless we get some like trailer from PlayStation in the summer showing that game, like
they're
an
not
actual.
Sony's not one to like show something and be like it's coming out this year. They're usually pretty ahead when they start releasing trailers and stuff.
Yeah, I would be completely thrown if they release Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok in the same year. Like that would be insane.
For sure.
Insane. Huh. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking at this Returnal images on Google. It kind of reminds me of
Control
mixed with what's that? Alien. Wow, I was like, what's that Alien movie? Alien. It makes me think of
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, it makes me think of Alien crossed with Control. It's kind of weird looking.
Honestly, if it's like Control, I'd probably enjoy it because I love Control.
Yeah.
And if this is some Control Bizarro kind of crap, I'm down, man. I'll play it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's cool. We'll see what all Sony's up to. Do we have some time to want to hit this last one real quick?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
I don't really think we'll be talking. There's not really going to be anything in the upcoming games. If you guys want to look at that, we always have that Game Informer link available in our comment section and stuff. I was looking through it earlier. There's not much, so we probably can skip that segment.
Yeah, I mean, let me look at a few. Let me just look really quick.
I see that's coming out this month is the new Pokemon Snap. That's like the only thing. Cool. There's like really not much.
Oh yeah, and it's coming out literally at the end of that and Returnal both come out on the same day. Those are really of any consequence that I could think of.
Yeah, April be lame.
Yeah.
So the last segment that I was gonna see if we had time to talk about was just about a game called Path of Exile. So Path of Exile is having its second game come out soon, and I was explaining this to Max because it has a really big following. At least I know on the PC side of things, it's really big, and it is on all the consoles, so you can access, well, minus Switch, but you can access it on your Xbox and PlayStation as well. So Path of Exile is a Diablo game, because I think Diablo, that style, is like its own thing now. I forgot what it's called, like the genre.
So it's not like set in the same universe.
No. Yeah, no. It's just that Diablo style where it's like you control one character and there's like a mass enemies like go at you and you attack them with like AoE and like attack speed stuff.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
It's completely free to play. And the way that they do their game is also similar to Diablo, where you have a league, and then you have I forgot what they call it. It's the terminology for it, I can't remember, but a league usually lasts a few months, and there's like leaderboards, and usually in a league they'll do some tweaks to your different classes, and they might add new items and all this kind of jazz, and you'll play for like 3 or 4 months and try to see how high on the leaderboards you can get, and then eventually a few months down the road another league will start up where you create a new character and you go through the same thing again, but because there's different classes, it can always kind of feel like a new game each time. If you want to play your character that you played in a previous league, you can, but it's like on a different server or something than the league kind of gameplay is. So it's a super huge game where people, you pick your character. There's actually like a campaign mission and a storyline, which is really good. There's a bunch of classes. There's like skills. There's upgrades. There's weapons. You can do these things to like grind out gear and all that kind of stuff. It's really cool. Nice. And so the big thing that they were talking about was in this new game, there is so Path of Exile 2 characters are new sets of exiles who fall in the same class archetypes as those in the original games. As such, they can pick from a set of 19 new ascendancy classes that different from the old ones that are still available in the Path of One Exile campaign. So 19 whole new classes, which is crazy. So a class could be something like your archer class, your I think I saw that they do like a crossbow class. There's like mages and all this kind of stuff. So I added a bunch of those. One thing that you usually do in these games is you usually get gems to like upgrade your character, and these gems are like a way for you to, let's say you have a bow spell and your bow attack is just a single arrow. Well, you can get gems that like attach to your equipment that make you shoot 3 arrows at once. And then if you chain these gems, it lets those 3 arrows be electrical arrows, and then the attack speed increases. And so that's like the gem system. And I guess they've done some new reworks to it, which is cool. Of course, they've added like new armors and new weapons. There's new animations in the thing now. Like I saw a video of they've added a whole new like run, walk animations, attack animations. You can tell that this company has just put a ton of work into this game, which is so cool to me because, like I was saying in the beginning, it is free to play. There is microtransactions, but the microtransactions they're kind of like 2 sets. They have microtransactions geared towards cosmetics to make your character look, like fun, have like a skin and all that kind of stuff. You might have some, like some glowiness to you or trails when you walk around, that kind of thing. And then there's also microtransactions that are kind of geared towards a more hardcore audience. And what I mean by that is usually like if you want to play this game and be like really organized, and if you play it really hardcore, you have like a bank, and this is like, or a chest where you store all your items. Well, you can buy like new tabs that are almost like filtered for you to be able to be more precise with your gameplay and be a little bit more like faster in your gameplay. It's like improvements to the quality of life. You do not need them though to like play. It's really just a microtransaction for those who are really dedicated to the game, and they like it because it makes their gameplay a little bit better for them. But it's not like breaking the game. It's not like they're buying XP tokens or they're buying items or anything like that. Again, it's just more of like if you love this game and are hardcore into it, you can have these options, but you don't need them by no means.
Gotcha.
So their model's really cool. And there's a whole YouTube video that I think IGN has posted. It's like 20 minutes long of gameplay. The graphics have been enhanced. The sound have been enhanced. Everything has been enhanced. And so it's pretty cool. It's pretty big. Definitely for like the Twitch scene, because I know it's a huge game that I see get played on Twitch a lot. People love these kind of like league session style games where you have high scores and you can see how high up on the high scores you get toward the end of a league and whatnot. So I kind of just wanted to like mention that a second one is coming. If it seems interesting, I really highly suggest you maybe going on your Xbox or your PlayStation or loading up Steam and getting Path of Exile 1 going if you like Diablo games. And if you don't, maybe just try it, see how it goes. But apparently, last thing I'll just say about it is it looks like on their main website all the way at the bottom it says, we don't have a release date for Path of Exile 2 yet, but we're unlikely to start a beta until 2022 at the earliest. In the meantime, though, we are continuing to release Path of Exile expansions on our regular 3-month cycle. So every 3 months, they do a whole new expansion, like a whole new league, and the Path of Exile 1. So that's still going to happen, which is cool, seeing that they can still do that plus work on number 2. I'm assuming that's why it's kind of far out, because their resources are like, some resources are to still do the expansions, some of the resources are to work on the new game. But the fact their open beta isn't until 2022, I'm pretty impressed because the 20-minute gameplay they showed on IGN is pretty legit. So
I think it's pretty solid.
oh yeah, it's surprising how I didn't even know it wasn't. They said 2022 because it's looking good.
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah, you should skim through it. You would be surprised that that's what they say. It almost looks like it's done, but
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check it out.
yeah. So that's Path of Exile 2.
Nice.
So yeah, usually we hit those upcoming games, but Max and I, we kind of just talked about the 2 that were coming, so there is not too much in that realm.
Yeah.
And my list of games that I'm playing is still the same as the previous podcast, where I'm still playing Yakuza and RuneScape. I kind of got derailed in Yakuza because I was just trying to get a bunch of money. And so I kind of like derailed into side quests of like leveling up and getting a bunch of dough and upgrading my characters and whatnot. So I haven't really made much progress. It's weird. I haven't made storyline progress since the last time we chatted, but I've made progress since the last time we chatted.
No, I totally get you, man. Like the game very much. I mean, like just if you went in the game and just played through the story, you could probably beat it in like 20 hours.
Yeah, probably. Those chapters aren't super long.
Yeah, they're not super long, but like if you want to do everything, if you want to play like all the mini, complete out the part-time hero stuff, it takes a long time. Yeah. Like and to Tyler's point, I know that he's doing the management mini game, I believe, to make the money. Is that right?
Yeah, it's so funny.
How much money do you have now?
I think I got to like 20 million, and then I started investing some in that girl's shop. So there's a shop that you can go to craft weapons, and then you like upgrade it and all that kind of jazz. So I've just been upgrading her shop. What is it called? Like Love something?
Romance Workshop, yeah.
So I've been upgrading that because I had the cop guy. I was using him as the riot shield person, but I couldn't get him an upgraded shield yet. Apparently you can't until like later on anyways. So then I bumped him into the guy who uses a sword. It's like a bodyguard, I think maybe.
Yep, bodyguard. Yeah.
So I got him that, and then I just crafted in this like really cool flaming katana thing.
Nice.
And then the girl, I crafted her that ice pop weapon, dude.
Yep.
Ice is epic in this game. There's a lot of people who are weak to ice, and she's like an MVP. She like can 2-swipe people sometimes. It's awesome.
Yeah, ice is probably the rarest of elements that you can get. Like for anyone that hasn't played Yakuza Like a Dragon, there's 3 elemental attacks you can have in this game: fire, ice, and electricity. And ice is probably the rarest skills that you can find out of all the different types of users. And so anytime you can get good ice attacks, you need to get them.
Yeah, you hang on to them for a while.
You hang on to them. I honestly get ice attacks probably until like near the end game, and I'm kind of mad at myself because I just kind of focused on electricity and fire and didn't even realize that ice was that powerful. And I was like, dang.
Yeah, I don't even know if I have electricity yet. I know I have fire, and I think I have fire and ice. I've been trying to get the elements if I can. I didn't even know. I didn't even know electricity was a type.
Yeah, electricity is really good if you craft. If you just keep upgrading.
Oh, the bat didn't you tell me the bat gets it?
Yeah, if you keep upgrading your legendary bat, the original bat that you pick up from the ground, if you keep upgrading it to its highest level, eventually it'll be embedded with electricity like other items do. And so then you'll just automatically have electrical power anywhere you go.
Okay. I'll work on that then. Because I think he has like a flame something, but I don't really need it now that my other guy has like a flame sword.
Yeah.
So I might try to work on the bat then. That's a good tip.
Yeah, no problem. I did want to tell everybody I did actually finish Yakuza Wednesday.
Hey.
Yeah, I officially beat it. This game was incredible. I freaking loved it. 9 out of 10. It got me at the end. It literally brought me to tears. I have to say the dub, the voice acting in this game, especially the English voice acting, is incredible. Like they did such a great job. The story itself is very what's the word I'm looking for? It's pretty cliche. Like you can kind of see before they head there. But still, I think overall the story of this game is absolutely beautiful. I think it's a really powerful story. What the kind of they're trying to tell. I already told you, Tyler, but I think the only time I didn't enjoy the game was I had to grind like 4 hours to level all of my characters to 99 and job rank 99
Yeah.
to even attempt the final like post game dungeon, which is like the last trophy. And that was probably the hardest part of the whole thing. And it almost broke me. Like I was just like, man, I don't even know if this is worth it. But
you stuck through.
I stuck through and I got through it, but it was worth it in the end just to have that like 100% do. But it's a long game. Like if you want to do everything, it'll take you 95 plus hours. Like it's
nuts.
It's an investment. Yeah.
So what are you playing now?
So right now I just started Trails in the Sky. I got that on my PC. For those of you who know, I'm a huge Legend of Heroes Trails fan. I've really only played the Cold Steel games. I watched summary videos, like in-depth, like hour-long summary videos of the Sky games and the Zero games, but I've never actually been able to play them myself. So I got them on PC, and I'm I would say a little like over 2 hours into the first game of Sky, and I absolutely adore it. The world building is all there. I love Estelle as a main character. She's so funny, and Joshua's great too. The music's beautiful. It just kind of has that fun old school like Digimon 3 world kind of game style JRPG that I really love, and so I've been enjoying that. And then this is just for this week, but I've been kind of dipping into Control Ultimate Edition on the PS5. They released it on PlayStation Plus, which is a huge win because it's an incredible game, and I've never played the DLC, so I decided I would dip into that and jump back into the world of Control, which is a great game. But actually tomorrow, coming in the mail, I'm getting Bravely Default 2.
Oh, you did get it. Nice.
Yeah, for the Switch. So I finally got that, and I'll probably be finally being able to play my Switch for the first time in a while. And just play a fun little JRPG on there.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know how that is. I bought new skates this month, so that kind of tapped my video game allocations. But next month you'll have to let me know so I can maybe get it then.
Yeah, I'll let you know how it is. I love the first two Bravely Default games, so this is very, from what I've heard, it's very traditional JRPG like job status setup. But I've heard it's really fun, and I'll definitely let you know what I think. I think I'm really going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I think so too. It'll be good.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend to the people this week? We've talked about the world of video games. We talked about Discord. We talked about E3, Last of Us, Sony being dumb. We've talked about how there's no games really coming up this month. So in light of all this, what do you think people should listen, watch, read, whatever coming up this week?
Entertainment of the week. So this week, I try and do a different style of entertainment every week. I have like a cycle of like 4 or 5 different stuff that I want to do. So this week is movies. And the movie I want to recommend is Hunt for the Wilderpeople. And you can watch this currently on Netflix. And this is a movie directed by Taika Waititi. Best known for probably this movie alongside What We Do in the Shadows and Jojo Rabbit, as well as he directed Thor Ragnarok and the upcoming Thor movie Love and Thunder.
Oh.
And he is a native-born New Zealander. And I love his comedy bits. He, in some ways, reminds me a lot of, I'm gonna butcher his name, so I'm not even gonna mention it. But the guy that makes like the movies, I don't know if you've heard of them, but like, Moonrise Kingdom, The Grand Budapest Hotel, very stylistic types of movies. Excuse me.
You're good.
I just allergies.
Same.
Yeah, but this is just a very fun, warm. Doesn't feel like anything else out there that I really enjoyed, and I find movies like this. I just watched this last week. It really struck with me because it's very different, but it's set in New Zealand, of course, and it revolves around this boy called Ricky Baker, and everybody just calls him Ricky Baker, which is really funny. And he is he's a problem child. He has no parents. He's been in the foster system for years, and if he doesn't make this next family work, he's going to be sent to juvie, as told by his, I guess, foster officer. I don't know what you call them, but it's so funny because in the movie, like, he's sent to live with this family in just the bush of New Zealand, like in the middle, in the wilderness, and the lady that takes him there is like, "Are you sure you want to take this kid?" He kicks stuff, he burns stuff, he runs away from stuff, he graffitis stuff. It's like really funny. And basically a lot of crazy things ensue that I won't spoil, but it just becomes a sprawling adventure in the wilderness of New Zealand, with this kid and his foster father, who just kind of go on a grand adventure together, and it's absolutely heartwarming. It's hilarious. It's so funny. The acting is bizarre but really charming. And I can't recommend it enough. I think this anyone who watches this, I feel like, would really enjoy aspects of it. So go check out Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
Legit. It's pretty cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
And you can get it on, watch it on Netflix.
Yep. You can check it out on Netflix at any point in time. Highly recommend it. It's so good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I usually bum off of Max Medium, so he picked a show thing, and so I did too. That's usually how I do mine.
Hey, no, you're fine. Mine's a
disclosure.
movie, so yours a TV show, so you didn't. You're good.
So mine is something that, like, I'm pretty sure everybody has heard about at this point, but I think it's a good time to watch it if you have not, and that is Attack on Titan.
Never heard of it.
Which I have Crunchyroll. I think you can watch it in a bunch of different places. I wanted to recommend this one because, Max just said that, like, how part 1 of the final season of it has finally, like, concluded this week.
Yep.
And so there is going to still be a part 2. But I think it's if you have not seen it, because there's so much content of it, it's a really good time to do it now. I mean, there's obviously, like, a lot of hype around it. A lot of people are, enjoying it. And so Peter and me and him started it a few weeks ago, and we're on season 3 and whatnot. And it's just been, like, really, really fun just watching the anime. It's a very interesting world of, you have these humans, you have these titans, and Titans want to eat the humans, and it's just a battle of survival. These humans want to obviously prevail in the end and come out, quote unquote, victorious against the Titans. They don't want to be consumed by them completely. There's tons of plot twists, tons of keeping you on the edge of your seat, a lot of twists that you just did not see coming. There's some annoying parts where you get aggravated at certain things. There's exciting parts. There's sad parts. There's very, very, like, hard hitting parts. It's just an anime that really ties into just a little bit of everything. It's definitely on the dark side. There's definitely a lot of death and whatnot. A lot of
it's basically the Game of Thrones of anime.
It really is. It very much is. But it's really good, and I think now because of all the medias that you can like watch it through, and since there is so many seasons, I think it's a good time to watch it if you have not, especially with that fourth season being out. Peter was telling me sometime this week, like Attack on Titan's one of the highest grossing animes ever because of like things like merch, manga sold, money taken from just watching it on services like Crunchyroll. Like obviously, like this anime is hype. It is top tier, and it holds up to its word for sure. So if you're into anime, you like this kind of stuff, highly recommend.
Yeah, the hype, like you said, Tyler, the hype is real. I also agree with you here. Like, maybe wary of it because they don't want to jump onto like the hype train, but like it's legit. Like this is one of the best anime that's, in my opinion, that has been created in the last decade. I agree with you. It almost doesn't even feel like an anime. It feels like its own thing that like doesn't there's no other anime like this out right now in terms of the stakes, in terms of the world that it brings. And it's just one of those shows that you can tell the director, the writer had the ending in mind from the very beginning. And so it just, each season, the story just gets bigger. The horizons get broadened. The secrets that and the questions that you have get answered, but then more questions arise, and the world gets bigger, and you're like, you slowly realize, oh, there's a master plan here. There's something happening, and those are usually, in my opinion, the best stories. And I'm so glad you guys are watching it. I can't wait to you guys when you get to the end of season 4, because it is.
Yeah, oof. Peter and I talked about how, regarding questions and that type of deal, it's always like you're taking one step forward, 2 steps back. You like get a question answered, but when you do, you then gain 2 more questions. So for like exactly. every question you have, there's like 2 or more that are about to get asked. So don't get too excited when you get one question answered, because it is always immediately followed up by another one.
Yep.
It's nuts how often that happens. And it's honestly remarkable like how they've done this story like they've done. I mean, it's solid. It's a solid storyline.
Yeah. It's so good.
So that's a double recommendation right there, folks. If you haven't watched Attack on Titan, get up from under that rock and start watching Attack on Titan.
Yeah. What the heck are you doing? Stop listening to this and get on Attack on Titan.
Oh man. Well, good. That's a good solid podcast. It's been a couple of weeks. I'm glad that we were able to go over some pretty interesting stuff. It'll be cool to hit these topics because we'll probably honestly be hitting, minus probably the Path of Exile, but we'll more than likely be hitting these topics again. I mean, whenever we find out more about Discord, whenever E3 actually becomes a thing, it'll be really interesting to see what Last of Us Remake looks like. So this is a cool podcast where we kind of are doing some speculation to see what will come, and we'll definitely hit these topics again one day.
Yeah, I agree. It's super exciting. I feel like we're at the cusp of finally getting, big entertainment industry news again. Maybe we're finally exiting the dry season. I don't know, but
yeah, we'll see.
It is, it's very exciting. I agree with you, man.
Alrighty. Well, like Max was said in the beginning, you can always watch us live around 7:30 Eastern time on Friday. Our podcast always goes live the following Saturday at 9 o'clock. It'll hit, or 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. It'll hit Spotify and Apple podcast services. And then you can follow us on, we have a Twitter account. Can't really say we use our socials too much, but they are there. We have those. But really just getting support on YouTube, like Max was saying, commenting, liking, subscribing, throwing suggestions in on the comment section is always cool. Definitely would love to hear some suggestions. I know a lot of our friends have voiced wanting to come onto the podcast, so we'll definitely figure out how those things work. Julie even mentioned that she said she would love to have a podcast where her and Ruthie came on and we told them about topics and they try to explain what they think the topic is about just based off us telling them the title. So there could be some really fun things, and we'll definitely try to work on getting some stuff going. But we appreciate each and every one of you that tune in to listen. Thank you guys for always kind of coming by, letting us just talk about random stuff live. So appreciate
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, that's been episode 13.
Episode 13. We did it. All right, everybody. We will talk to you all again next week. Have a good one.